Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we will cover how we can take input in Java program. I will start with the discussion about the step required to take input from the user for different data types and store them to the variables and use them for different purposes. So first thing, whenever we have to write down Java program, we have to import the library called java.util.stars. That will be after the package name. After importing the library, you have to create an object of the scanner class in the main method or wherever you want to take input from the user. And after creating the scanner object, then you will be able to take the input from the user and you can store it in the desired variable with different data types. So these are the three steps you have to keep it in mind while writing down the code to take the input from the user. First one is importing the library, then in creating the objects of the scanner, and then you will be able to take the input by using the scanner object. So let's create a Java program. I will open the NetBeans and create a new project. So I will create a new project. I will give the name taking input. So as I discussed, the first step is I need to import the java.util library or package. So it need to be after the package name and before the class initialization. If you will write down if you will try to import the package at before the package name or after the class definition, you will face an error. Okay, so import java.util and you can go with the star and write down the semicolon. So I imported the package. Now I have to create the object of the scanner class. So what I need to do, inside the main method, I have to use the initial word scanner. I will give the variable input equal to new scanner and system.in. S need to be capital, system.in. So this is the default way to create the object of scanner class. Over here input is the variable. So you can change it with any variable, my input or whatever you want, and then you can use it as per your requirement. So as a first step, I imported the java.util library or package, and then I created the object, and now I can use this input variable object to take input from the user. Before taking the input, I will display that enter the first number or enter a number. Now let's try to take an input from the user and store it in a variable. So I will first define the variable int. Let's suppose I want to store it in variable 1 var 1. So I will say int var1 and I want to initially assign the value that will be taken as input. So I will say take the input, it will be input object name dot next int. If user will write down multiple integer values with space, then only the first value will be taken and it will be stored in the variable 1. So let's try to run or execute this program, taking an integer value and it is storing into the variable 1. So click on this run button and you will see it is just waiting and doing nothing. It means actually it is waiting for the input. So I will say 20 and enter. It is showing build successful. So I think it is better to show a message before taking the value from the user to say, okay, please enter the integer value. So let's try to do this way so it will be more user friendly to take the input from the user. So I will say system dot out dot print. Okay, and over here I will pass the variable enter an integer value. Okay, so this is like actually when I will execute the program, it will show a message that enter an integer value and it will wait until I will not enter an integer value on the console, and let's run it again. So now you can see it is waiting. So I will enter the value 20, and now you can see build successful. Now let's try to print out the user input value on the screen also. So what I will do, I will again use the system.out.print, system.out.print, and over here I will say the user entered integer value is, and then I will use the plus sign and the variable name var1. So now the value I will take in variable 1, it will be printed out on the screen also. So let's try to run it. So now it is waiting for taking the value. So I will say 20, and now you can see the output, it is showing that the user entered integer value is 20. Okay, so this is very basic way to take input from the user and store it in the variable, and then you can use it as you want. Let's take another value, but this time we will take a double value, not the integer value. So now this time I will define a variable of data type double. So double, I will say var2 equal to input dot next double. We don't need to use next int, we have to use next double in order to take the input as a double value. Let's print out a message also to enter the double value, system.out.print, and I will say enter a double value, decimal value, or I can say decimal value. So now let's print out the decimal value also. So I will use again system.out.print the user entered double value plus variable var2. So now over here actually I'm just showing the message to enter the value. I took the value by calling the object input, and then I stored the input into variable 2 or var2 as double, and then I'm displaying that value on the screen again also. So let's try to run it. It is waiting for the input. I will say 30. Okay, it is saying the integer value is 30. Now it is saying enter a double decimal value. I will say 23.5, and when I will enter, it is saying the user entered double value 23.5. If I want to display the message in each separate line, then I have to use new line at the start of every corresponding line. So I will use /n, that is used to have the new line at the start of the message. So let's run it again. Now I will enter 30. Let's pause. See, you can see the user entered integer value is 30. Now I will write down 25.5, and you can see every time it is displaying on a new line. In the same way, you can take the inputs from the user by using next int for the integer, next float for the floating point value, next line to take the string value, and next double, next byte, next boolean, next short, or next long for the corresponding data types. Let's have one more example, and in this example I am going to take the username and store it into the string variable. So for that case, I will create the string variable. I will say temp or string name, variable name is name. I will use input dot next line. Okay, so for taking the input as string, you have to use next line. Let's show a message also, system.out.print, please enter your name. And now I will print out the name also, system.out.print, and over here I will use the user entered name is plus name. Okay, so by this way we will be able to print out. So let's add new line also for every message or every output, so we can have in proper format. I will move this string input to at the start of the program because it doesn't wait for the input if we are taking integer value before the string based input at the start of the program. And now if we will execute, it will first ask us to enter the name. So I will enter my name, let's suppose, and it will say the name is this, enter an integer value. So 30 I wrote, enter a double value 23.5, and now you can see the program has been executed successfully. Let me do it proper formatting by adding new line over here. So now if we will execute this program, first it will ask to enter the name, and it will print out, it will take the name and store it in the variable name, and then we are printing out that name on the screen. In the next step, we are taking an integer value and storing it into the variable 1, var1, and then we are printing that variable value also. And in the third stage, we are taking an input value as double or decimal value, and we are storing it into the variable var2, and we are printing on the screen. So let's execute and see it again. So enter the name. Let's suppose I will enter my name, enter the integer value, let's suppose 20. You can see it is printing the entered value is 20. It is saying enter the decimal point. Let's suppose I entered 35.5, and it is displaying that input value also. That's it for the today's session. Today we covered how we can take input from the user and how we can store it in different types of variables. In next session, we are going to cover how we can apply arithmetic operations in Java programming. If you like my video, please click on the like button and don't forget to share it with your friends. Thank you.